Right, so we're here again. I've been doing a few small bits in the background, um, as and when I can, a lot of which I haven't recorded simply for the fact they're boring and not going to do anything. So the nuts have arrived for the cylinder head, the dome nuts, and the kit I bought for the new nut and bolt refit is pretty sort of, it's a, I won't say it's a complete set because there are a few bits and pieces missing, but not too much. It's quite a good set. But the nuts that are supplied for the cylinder head were just conventional nuts, and I think it just detracts a little bit from the overall appearance. So I bought myself some dome nuts for that. So they're now on. Heads all torqued down, barrels obviously all torqued down. Everything's ready. I've had another look at the water pump situation, and the seal is okay. I'm not overly, I won't say confident, I'm not overly happy with the general condition of that casing on that side. So for those of you that don't know, they're a magnesium casing and it reacts to water, and eventually it just starts crumbling and breaking down. They used it originally because it was light, but it just doesn't last too well, and these bikes are now coming up for 40 years old, some are over 40 years old, and they start to break down. And the first sign of the breakdown is, instead of getting a nice smooth surface on the inside, you start to get a rough surface, and then you get what looks almost like limescale building up inside, and it's the magnesium breaking down and then starting to move the bits that have broken off around to different other areas, which start building up on them, and it just gives it a very crappy finish. Eventually they will go porous. So I think I said in one of the previous videos, Doc Wob had similar situation with a, can't remember whether his was an 86 or an 87 CR250. I think his was an 87 as well. And he couldn't get one for love nor money over here. You can get one from Japan, and I think they're 350 quid, something like that. But he ordered one from China, and his opinion was, if it's going to do the job, then let's go with it. And I thought, well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. I've ordered one just in case. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do the clutch. That's the last thing on the engine aside from this casing, and then I can get the engine back in the bike, and then we can start to build stuff around it. The engine is quite a good balance for the bike, so once I've got a bit more weight lower down, I can start to put the forks back in. I've sent the wheels off to somebody not too far away from me. He's going to lace the back wheel, and he's going to have a look at the front wheel that I laced and make any adjustments he needs to. We've had a quick look at it, and he said I've laced it correctly, but it's not tightening up as it should do. So it may well be that I was given slightly too long spokes, but they came as a bundle, so we might have to go back to the manufacturer, or not the manufacturer, the supplier, for them. So this bit of the video is change clutch plates. There may be nothing wrong with them. It was a little bit sticky, but I got a clutch kit anyway. The friction plates are sitting over there in oil. I've got new metal plates and I've got new springs. So let's get the cover off, and then get those changed over, get the cover back on. There's a new O-ring to go. Well, I'm calling it an O-ring. It's kind of like a gasket, but it's a rubber, like an O-ring, but it's shaped. Get a new one of them in there to seal that up, see how we get on. So yeah, let's crack on. Not sure if you'll see it in the background while I'm moving around and changing shots and that, but you'll see all that green on the frame. All it is really is just masking tape, and I've just put that in there just to protect the paint a little bit for when I put the engine back in. Just a little tip that I picked up. I was going to use cloths, but they tend to move around, so we'll have a go with that. Okay, so I've got the engine cranked over at a little bit of an angle, just to make it easier for me. Might make it a little bit easier for you to see what's going on. And I'm not sure whether the camera from there will pick it up. You can see some of the corrosion that's going on there. They're quite rough, but let's see what we get. Get this bit off, change it all over. Now, you probably won't see where I'm putting these, but I'm actually laying these out in clock order. I think they're all the same lengths, with the exception of the one that's at 1 o'clock. But we'll see. These are all going to be replaced anyway. It feels really weird doing this left-handed so that you can see it. These T-bars work a lot better when you're doing them with your right-handed, either your right hand, so to speak. I did just attack these earlier on, just to crack them off. So we've got one or two of them have got a little bit of corrosion. Is it me or is that one pissed? Right, I think it's just me. There you go. So when you do it with the correct hand, so much bloody quicker. Right. There we go. It's got some strange markings on that. It's almost sticky, so I'm guessing it's had something in there. May have been some coolant got in there. Antifreeze goes sticky, and you'll see on the inside of the lid that was the O-ring I was talking about. So we'll take this one out, clean it all up before we put the new one in. I always put a little bit of silicone grease over it just to help it seal. If you haven't got silicone grease, you can just use a little bit of oil. Right, let's see if we can. Alright, before we go mental, just going to check spring lengths. Give me a single spring. Yep, they're fine. So we have got the correct springs. These should all be the same length. I always try and undo these crisscross patterns, but once they're loosened off, they're not too much of an issue. Wow, good job I got the new kit. That would probably be why when I started it up on the very first video and put it into gear, it just died. There's very little left on the friction plates, so good shout out to me for getting a new kit. Right, the only thing I haven't checked is whether the first plate, come on, is any different. So a little chip, where is that? I'm not sure whether that's a chip or whether it's a marker, so I'll keep my eyes open on the new plates and see. Wow, there's I'm not sure if that's going to pick it up or not, but that's, I can, obviously my fingernail still catches it, but they're very bald. Now, as I said, we've got new metal plates as well, and in fairness, they're not burnt, they're not scored, they're okay. I may well end up keeping them just in case, but I need to put my calipers on them. See if I can get them all out in one go. There we go. Well, that'll be the issue for where it stopped. We've actually got breakup of the last plate. Out you tart. There we go. Would be stainless, wouldn't it? Never thought of that. Come on. There we go. So I think these parts that have broken off the last plate is twofold. One is because it's where it's worn so thin, and it was clearly stuck, so that clutch was never going to work like that. So let's stick all of these bits over to one side for now. I should have opened this first. Bear with me for 1 second, I'm just checking these plates to see if they're all the same. I think they were, but I wasn't looking for either a chip or a marker on one. They're all the same, which is good. So let's get the worst of the oil off. And as you can see, these have been soaking for probably 36 hours now. And all you do, if you've not done one of these before, is check to see which goes in first, whether it's a metal or whether it's... So it was sod's law that while I was counting and checking that the 10 minutes was up and the bloody thing cut off, but I couldn't do anything because my hands were too oily. So all I've done is I've just pulled out the clutch plates just to count them again, and realised that I'd left an old one right at the very back and couldn't see it, just due to the way that the lighting is in there. So that's the new ones in. I'm just going to see if I can clean this cover up a little bit, maybe with a bit of wire wool or something, just to see if it will. I've got some brake and crutch cleaner somewhere. There we go. Get out of it. Now if I put that there, will you see that? You can. And if I do that, you should see it even better. I'm guessing the little scratch marks that are on here are more to do with the fact that the one of the, well actually I think it was two of the plates were breaking up. I just want to get the worst of the crap off. So that didn't go quite as well as I planned, and it's kind of my own fault for using a torque gun on it. So as you will have just seen, the head's come off of one of those bolts. So I'm going to end this video here. The next video is going to be me trying to extract that, or forking out for a new clutch basket. I'm hoping that it will come out fairly easily if I can drill down the middle and get an easy out on it, but we'll see. But that's the next video. That's all I'm going to do for this one. Bit of extra content, I suppose. Catch you soon.